Welcome back to Dan and Sarah Makers. Today I'm going to show you how I'm going to build a hugel. Some of you might be familiar with something called Hugelkultur, which is a process to prep your ground for growing plants. It originated in Germany, so that's why it's a kind of interesting spelling. I like to call them Hugels because it's like saying a hill. So I'm going to be building a hugel or hill today. It's a process of prepping your ground by putting decaying wood matter under the ground and then burning dirt over the top and other things like leaves and other compost type stuff. And then you let it sit over the winter, and then in the spring you plant your plants directly into the hill. The reason we think it's a good idea, and we're going to give it a try, is we have a lot of water in the winter that comes down, but in the summer we can have months on end where we don't get any precipitation. And the nice thing about the wood being in the ground is that it's like a sponge, and so during the wet part of the year it'll soak up all the moisture, and then in the summer it will slowly release that into the plant roots. That's the theory, so we're going to give it a try. I'm going to start filling this in with some old firewood that just kind of started deteriorating because it wasn't kept under cover before we bought the property. Let's get started. We took advantage of our backhoe and built this trench. Usually you want to build a fairly large trench based on how big you want your hugel to be, and so we have about an 18 to 20 inch wide, about a foot to 18 inch deep trench here that I have to fill up. So can't hide this because Penny would be really sad. Ready for this one? Ready for this one? So you'll want to make sure you know what kind of logs you're putting in here. The hardwoods tend to take longer to break down, which is pretty obvious, but there are a few different types of trees they do not recommend for hugels, and I'll put them right here on the screen. This one's already soaked up a lot of water. It's pretty dense and soft. So if you start out with fresh logs, it's going to take a long time for them to get all hunky like that, but these are already starting to decompose, so the process is going to be sped up a little bit. Have you ever noticed how plants always seem to grow the best in your compost pile? That seems to be the case here as well. The rest of the garden this summer, because we weren't irrigating this space, the rest of the garden was brown in the middle of the summer. But look at this. We have weeds everywhere, and they're so happy right around these wet, decomposing logs. So we're really hopeful, fingers crossed, that this is going to work. The dog is, you're silly. We're gonna go grab the Kubota, scoop up this dirt that we dug out of the hole in the first place, put it back on top of these logs, and let it do its magic over the winter. So that's our next step. you're supposed to do in a hugel. And then it'll hold together. I'm going to put this over here where there's no dirt. Whoops! It'll hold together, but it'll be less likely to sprout more grass later. Hey, what you doing, Penny? What you doing, Penny? Well, here we are. We finished the hugel, and now we can just let it soak up water all winter. We hope that you can like, share, subscribe, and comment, especially if you've done anything with hugels in your garden, so that all the other followers and viewers can learn something more about hugelkultur and how it's worked for you. We would also love to see you follow us on Instagram, where we post stuff that's not necessarily in our YouTube channel, at Dan and Sarah Makers. As always, we hope these videos inspire you to get out there and do something. See you in the next one. Bye! You thought the video was over, but actually we're back. About 2 weeks later, I decided that it would be great to add some extra compost to the top of the hugel. So we're going to rake up the leaves and put them on the top. They're nice and wet. We're trying to get them off the grass before our first snow, and it's early November. So we're gonna get these on top of that hugel so that it can start composting over the winter.
Where to?
Did you have that truck to the screen?
Yep.
Just where it leaves off there. That's good. Okay.
Yeah.